Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Whenever Barry Morphew attends trial flanked by his two daughters, they all seem to be smiling. They seem to smile as they enter the court and seem to come out all smiles as well. And no, it's not a trick of the lighting, it's not special effects or Photoshop. They really are smiling as they head to court to listen to legal arguments surrounding whether Barry Morphew murdered his wife and their mother or not. Yesterday, Iris Ayton, one of his lawyers, said it's not even a homicide case, it's a missing persons case. Before we get to the rest of this analysis, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So the precise quote reads, "I want to get the facts straight. It's not a nobody homicide. It's a missing person case." And that is what was quoted by Lauren Schaaf at the Barry Morphew hearing yesterday. That's March 30th. As defense lawyer Scott Reich astutely pointed out in his reaction to this latest legal ploy, Barry himself asked for his wife to be legally recognized as incapacitated so that he could be made guardian of her assets. Once guardianship was given, Barry promptly liquidated many of their assets. Page 52 of the affidavit also refers to Barry apparently calling Suzanne's father, Gene, 2 weeks after her disappearance, sounding distraught and saying they were trying to pin Suzanne's death on him. I've also found an allegation on Reddit that suggests or claims that Barry said to Jean at the time, "It doesn't look like she's coming back," but the link provided for that source has since been removed. And of course, Gene Werman himself passed away on November 10th, 2020. So it's not clear whether whatever was said in that conversation can be verified. The affidavit doesn't refer to Barry saying the quote provided on Reddit either. And now we go to another aspect that is highlighted by Lauren Schaaf. She writes, or she tweeted, quote, "One of the expert witnesses the defense wants to strike is a forensic nurse who looked at photos of Barry Morphew's scratches on his arms and hand, but did not meet or examine Barry Morphew in person. That will be determined on April 29th. In other words, whether this forensic nurse will be allowed as a witness. That will be determined at the end of next month. According to KRDO, quote, "2 of the prosecution's witnesses didn't show up, and a third is now not allowed to be used by the prosecution during the trial as part of a court sanction," end quote. What is clear, however, is that Barry's elite defense team have scored yet another series of points that have made headlines. Some prosecution witnesses will not testify in certain capacities or may not, and the prosecution team itself seems to be in a state of constant flux, with lead investigators fizzling as well as prosecutors seeming to be coming and going. The newest member of the team is the unfortunately named attorney Grant Gosgebauer from the Arapahoe DA's office. On the flip side, it has been ascertained that Suzanne's scent wasn't tracked near her bicycle by canine units. Also, although the judge is yet to rule on whether the case will go ahead or not, he hasn't ruled that it isn't going ahead, and we're now coming perilously close to the actual commencement of the trial date set months ago, which is now really with about 4 weeks to go, or 30 days to go. It would seem very late in the day to say, oh, okay, no, there's no substance for a trial. Something else tweeted by Lauren Schaaf. She wrote, "Prosecution has new attorney on the team." She says the Barry Morphew trial is 4 weeks away. There's a Shrek hearing set for April 29th. And then also that in the motion hearing that she attended, I think they watched a body cam video of a canine arriving on the scene near Suzanne Morphew's bike, but the dog could not find a scent of Suzanne Morphew near the bike scene on May 10th. That's quite significant. That's quite important. The judges also denied the odd defense motion while granting the prosecution the occasional concession, such as allowing CBI agent Caitlin Rogers to testify. So Lauren Schaaf also tweeted the following: Judge denies defense motion D70, so CBI agent Caitlin Rogers will testify about DNA, and that's regarding the needle sheath cap found in the dryer. That will still be presented in trial, but the court is excluding testimony from a veterinarian. Then it also refers to something, I'm not quite sure, it seems a bit uncertain, something about a tranquilizer gun is operable with duct tape, not operable how it was found. Anyway, fancy that. Fancy allowing a CBI agent, a law enforcement person, to actually testify about how they investigated a case in criminal court. Another interesting issue that was raised is the clothing Barry was wearing on the afternoon of the incident. Those shorts, they say, were found in the dryer. When I say they, I mean the prosecution. The prosecution say the shorts he was wearing that day were found in the dryer. And I suppose they want to make the inference that the needle sheath cap for the tranquilizer dart was possibly inserted in one of those short pockets, meaning the dart cap went into the dryer that day with those shorts. And we sort of get some reinforcement for this whole inference and this idea from this tweet by Lauren Schaaf, where she writes, quote, prosecution believes the shorts Barry Morphew was wearing on May 9 were in the dryer where law enforcement found the needle sheath cap. Defense says Barry Morphew has many of the same shorts, and one of the pairs were found in his truck. So the defense have countered by saying that Barry has many shorts that appear the same, and one pair was also found in his truck. I want to conclude by repeating this quote from Iris Ayton. Remember, she said, I want to get the facts straight. It's not a no-body homicide. It's a missing persons case. Do you mean to tell me that Suzanne Morphew, 2 years after her disappearance, is sitting on a beach somewhere out there sipping on a mojito, blissfully unaware that her murder is making national news? That she voluntarily disappeared and somehow never made contact in her new afterlife with any of the people that were important to her? Not her father, not her daughters, none of her friends, not even her lover. Because that was the contention made in the Patrick Frazee case, that Kelsey Barrett was somehow still out there, and who knew her reasons for not making herself known. And guess what? Patrick Frazee lost his case. Patrick Frazee also believed no body, no crime. It's an interesting theory, this whole idea that Suzanne Morphew is still out there, except when you know the circumstances leading up to that crucial hinge in the timeline, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on May 9th, when the peak traffic to and from Suzanne's phone is suddenly silenced, and silenced forever. Well, then you kind of get this strange sense of something perhaps in the ether. And then the next day, Mother's Day, that silence continues, while her close family, these individuals striding into and out of court, smiling as if the world is just the way it should be. Well, where were they on Mother's Day? Where were they when Suzanne was supposedly, I guess, alone at home? Why was Suzanne supposedly alone at home on Mother's Day? Well, they seemed to be apparently busy with other things when Suzanne simply disappeared. So if we look at where we are now and we look at the scores, the sort of successes Morphew's defense team have had, it tends to be with things like having witnesses excluded, right? And almost you kind of get the sense that they don't really want the case to go to trial. And that would be the biggest success of all if the case doesn't go to trial. But what if it does? What if it does go to trial? Do you think the defense will score a success during an actual court case, where they've actually got to explain the very interesting and very strange activities that took place on May 9th and May 10th. If it gets that far, do you think they're going to continue to score points? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.